got my Astron. This is RS70M with meters. No voltage adjustment or anything like that, or current. As far as that goes on the outside, just meters, and it's variable voltage internally. So you have to pop the lid. The reason why I popped the lid, I've had this for maybe 2-3 years. I noticed just recently that various transceivers and stuff I've been using had developed some strange problems where they would oscillate a little bit on transmit, and I wondered why. And I tracked it down to the output of the power supply. It was showing like a ripple when you look at it on the oscilloscope, which was kind of strange. So I thought maybe one of my big filter capacitors might be failing, which is very unlikely seeing how new it is, but you never know. So I popped the lid on this, and to my surprise, let me get something that's non-conductive here. This is a ground for both of these filter capacitors. This was loose as all can be right here where they're both coming together. This one just winds down and comes back around to here, and then they're going into this big capacitor. These are the same value. I can't tell what they are because if there's any indication it's on the other side and I can't see them, but they're pretty large capacitors, and they're definitely doing the job because there's no more AC ripple or anything on the output going into the oscilloscope. So what I found was this screw was severely loose, and I mean to the point where you could put a Phillips in here, and if I went like this, it basically came out. So that was like pretty crazy to see that. I tightened it up and everything's working well now. So I'm gonna put the lid back on it, and while I was in there I did adjust the voltage just slightly. I find that especially on my IC9700, if I need to run the 100 watts, which I generally don't, on FM on 2 meter, it tends to sag down a little bit at the 13.86 that the power supply came from Astron at. So I found that if I bump the voltage up to say 14.5, and then it basically shows that here also, that now the radio, when I probe the power leads, you know, going into the radio with my multimeter here, I got a mess on the workbench here, but when I probe the leads, it's sitting at about 14 volts at that 100 watt maximum that the IC9700 does. So I feel like that's just probably better. Have just a little more current going in. You know, obviously it's sagging down about half a volt, but it's remaining at about 14 into the transceiver. So I'm happy with that, and I'm seeing a little more positive results on the output of the radio. Not that it makes a huge difference or anything, but it's just more for peace of mind. So yeah, if you ever have a problem with an Astron power supply that appears to have like a ripple, if you test it on your oscilloscope, look at your filter capacitors and make sure that the grounds are seated properly and that they're not loose or they're coming undone from these, because these are crimped. Make sure they're not coming uncrimped or something from the wiring. That's a good idea maybe to check that if you're having problems, because it's probably something stupid like that. Alright, well, put the lid back on this one and put it back in service. It's a frickin' tank. This thing is heavy. This transformer is probably, I want to say, at least 40 pounds.